Good morning. Happy Monday.
Morning.
I was about I'm two traffic lights away from being at my office that did not cooperate when I was taking Kai to school today. So we're going to use the mobile car background today just to bring you something cool.
I'm mirror matching because it's so important.
And you got a blue shirt on too.
Of course, mirror match, man. Where do you think I learned this from? Hold on. Got to get the sunglasses on too. All right, there we go. Now we're almost perfect.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Right. I learned from the best.
Hey, consistency is key.
It is.
Which is a nice segue into our fun topic from this morning. And it's going to be fun. I think for some, it's going to not be so much fun for some, but I think it's important. So when we were talking about what we're going to chat about this morning, what comes to my mind is it's perplexing, right? From a business perspective, how there is so much abundance and wealth and opportunity literally surrounding every single one of us. It's unreal, the opportunity. Anything you want is sitting right around you. Every one of us, like everything we want is right there for the taking. There's no lack of anything. It's abundance. It's all around, right? All we have to do is figure out how do we tap into consistency and create the leverage to get rid of all the BS that talks us out of having it, right? Now, let's pause there for a second because let's unpack that sentence because there's a lot there. There's a lot. So let's debunk some of these thoughts in your drunk monkey for a second. Is it possible that some people have a hard time understanding that everything is around you and it's abundance and it's just waiting to be had? Let's talk about that statement for a second. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's very common because it's almost human nature to get lost in everything that's right in front of us that allows us, it almost blocks what's actually the potential, right? So we get caught up in the chaos and we can't see through the storm to understand that everything's actually fine, right? If we shift our mindset. It's all mindset. At the end of the day, it's all mindset. Because I don't care how old you are, what you're trying to accomplish, the old quote, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, is 100% accurate. And it's all what we're feeding ourselves from our own personal thoughts when you look in the mirror to the self-talk to the outside to watching the news to whatever you consume and allow to start telling yourself that story. It is 100% the case. And that will either motivate you to go and inspire you and push you to go get what you want, or it's going to do the opposite, which is unfortunately what happens to most people, which is it holds them back, right? And what happens is you start creating excuses. And we are really, really, really good as human beings at justifying things to ourselves, especially when you're not committed to it, because now it becomes very easy for me to be like, well, I was going to go make those 10 contacts, but my son's nose was running and then I had to do that. And you'll start creating all sorts of things to justify it in your head so you don't feel bad, right? But at the same time, if we can learn to flip that script on ourselves, that will be the same exact type of mentality that empowers us or empowers you to go get that next thing. But you got to use it as fuel instead of using it as negativity or an excuse. And that's the hard shift.
Well, let's talk about that because that's the leverage we talked about in the email, right? And that's kind of the underlying tone of what we need to talk about today. So what is getting leverage on ourselves, right? So let's talk about that for just a second, because it's every one of us has the ability There's no lack of ability, right? Every single one of us has fingers, right? We have a voice, we have a brand, we have the same market, we have the same potential targets, right? We have the same tools, we have the ability. Let's talk about business for a second. Every one of us has the ability, the exact same ability to do things, right? To talk to people, to catch the eyeball and attention of a person in a conversation, right? And that could be in a million different ways in a million different places. That's not the point of today's talk, right? But we do know how to talk, we do know how to listen, we do know how to communicate, and we know what to say, right? And if you don't know what to say, you know where to find what to say, and you know how to do that. So the ability is there, every single one of us. So the difference has got to be, as you were talking about, it's the mindset, but it's deeper than the mindset. It's the motivation. And motivation is a tough word because everyone's like, oh, go get them. It's not that, right? There's short-term ability, and then there's consistency for a long-term change, right? And when we wrote that email yesterday, it's like, let's be honest for a second. Last week, if you did not hit your goal, this week you're most likely not going to hit your goal, right? And I'm not saying as a demotivating factor, I'm just being real for a second. It was okay, acceptable for you to not do what you knew you should do last week, right? And it was okay. You allowed that to happen, because if it wasn't okay, you would have moved whatever you had to move in order to make it happen, right? I guess let's be real for a second. Is that true or not true?
100% true.
100% true. Okay, so we have the ability, we know what to do, we just didn't do it, right? And so this week is going to repeat last week unless we interrupt the pattern, because it's been a pattern of acceptance that allows you to be where you are today, right? Physical, emotional, relationships, financial, everything is the exact same thing, because there's a blend, right? There's a blend of commitment, there's a blend of motivation, there's a blend of pain, there's a blend of pleasure, and there's a way that you are the greatest salesperson in the planet because you're able to sell yourself on that it's okay because you didn't do what you should do. Okay, because that's just what you did. And it's okay because you allowed it to be okay until it's not okay. And then we have to interrupt the pattern of acceptability unless you're fine with it. And that goes to the interested versus commitment. If you're cool with having the amount of money you have in the bank, but you think you should have more because we want you to hear it, we want to hear that, then nothing's ever going to change. And that's BS, because we don't really care. We want you to be happy, whether it's with what you have now, more or less, right? But you just got to be committed to whatever that is that makes you happy, right? So you're okay with whatever has been happening until you're not. So for those of us that are watching that are saying, that's not okay, right? No longer is it okay. I deserve a better lifestyle. My kids deserve better opportunities. I deserve to have less stress. I deserve better opportunities. I'm ready to make the change, to make the commitment, to make something happen, right? Until that decision moment, that commitment moment hits your brain cells and makes the hairs on your arm stand up and the blood pump through your brains, and you get fired up and say, yes, I deserve this. I'm going to make that happen. No more am I going to accept the bullshit I've been telling myself and accepting, and it's over, and today's the day it changes, right? That is the moment that we all hit at some point in time. Our job is to help you hit that faster, should you really be ready to make the commitment to make that happen.
Well, what we're really talking about here is ultimate accountability. That's it. It is accountability. And if you can be accountable to yourself, you will, everything in your life will completely change, right? And so what really shifted it for me was when I had kids and they started playing sports, and I just clicked with me, like, accountability is everything, right? Stop making excuses. Oh, the sun was in my eyes, I didn't see that, blah, 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 that umpire made it back. Nope. Accountability, those are excuses, right? But if we have accountability, and then it clicked with me, how can I expect them to have accountability if I'm not modeling it myself. So that means everything that I do in my life, I have to be accountable for. But here's the unlock. I want accountability. I want everything to be my fault. Because if everything is my fault, then that means I have the power to fix it. When things aren't my fault or things are out of my power and out of my control, that's a powerless feeling because I can't do anything about that, right? I can't control the weather today. So I can't worry about that. I don't control whether it's sunny or raining, right? So I can't worry about the things I can't control. But if I can control all the other variables around my life, then I want those things to be my fault if they're not going the way that I want them to, because now that means that I have the power to fix it. So for me, that's full accountability. Everything is my fault, but I love it because that means that everything that is my fault, I can fix and I can go make it the way that I want it to be. But that takes true accountability. That takes no excuses. And the second you start to make one to yourself, that's where you have to take a step back and go, no, hold on. I'm making an excuse. I can't do that. And you got to make that shift, right? And until you make that change, whether you're 8, 12, like my kids, or 36 or 57, doesn't matter how old you are, until you start having true accountability to yourself for the actions and decisions you're making and the results that are coming from that, you will not make any changes. It just won't happen.
Well, and I agree 100%. Let's take an example for a second. Let's take somebody who smokes, right? They know they shouldn't smoke. There's no secret to that aspect of the world, yet they still smoke. Okay, not judging, just using it as an example. They will continue smoking until some force of leverage gets applied to them, right? And likely, most of the time, it will be a doctor that creates pain, right? You have to create pain, right, mixed with pleasure in order to make a change, right? So when a doctor comes in and says, one of two things happen here. You put one more cigarette up to your face, you're dead. Your kids will never see you again. Your family never sees you again. It's over. Your life is done. You're dead. Dead. Not one puff. You're dead. Right? Your choice. Quit, live, puff one more time, you die. Right? That's called pain. That's called leverage. And that's called time for a change. Right? That's the only time people will make a major change, is when enough pain gets inserted into your life. But that's just the temporary change, right? Because they'll all say, oh my God, I'm never going to smoke again. Then a week goes by and they get stressed out and they're like, it's only one a day, it's okay, right? And then it's 2, then it's 3, then it's 4, then they do it again. We all know people who have done that, right? Whether it's whatever it is as a vice, right? But the point is, the pain has to hit you to wake you up and disrupt your pattern, right? It's got to say, whoa, okay? Somebody's got to say, tired of hearing your shit. You are full of it. There's not an excuse. There is no bad market. You're just lazy and not talking to people. Period. End of story. And as a result of you not taking action, your bank account is depleting. You're putting stress on yourself and in your family. You're reducing the options in your kids' possibilities and grandkids' possibilities in life. All because you decided to watch a show, right? Rather than perfect a skill. All because you decided to go do whatever it is you were going to do rather than talk to those 10 people, right? The pain is, you're right, Mike, you just said it. It's your fault. Okay. If you don't have a listing right now, there's not an excuse that's valid other than the fact that you did not talk to people. Period. End of story. And you're okay with that because you allowed that to happen more than one day. Then it becomes a normal pattern. And then you start to get used to not having a lot of money. You get used to not having a lot of business. And you're like, well, that's okay. She doesn't either. It's all right. It's fine. Right. And then you just get into a habit of mediocrity, right? Which is stupid, right? It's unnecessary, but it's a choice, and it's okay because a lot of people choose to live in there on that island, right? But it's okay until it's not okay. So what I want to do is let's discuss what can we do to create enough leverage, and it's going to be you doing it to you, right? No, I can't say anything magical, give you a pill, do anything that causes a massive change, right? You have to do it to yourself, but you have to get real enough to apply the pain, right? That enough is enough, and you deserve better, and you are better, and this is what you need to go do. How many hours did you watch TV yesterday? If so, you wasted and burnt those hours. You're never getting them back, right? How much time did you flip doing social? I don't know. Check your screen time alert that you got from Apple and Android about how many hours you spent looking at your phone this week, right? Look at your bank account, right? Is that okay? Where are your investments? Where does your retirement? What does your portfolio look like? What are you leaving to your charities, right? Is that okay? And every one of us will say, God, he's right. I really should do better. Man, today's the day I should, I'm going to open up that Remind. And, I'm going to try to figure out where that spark is so I could download 401 and actually have phone numbers with me. And today, that marketing guide, I'm actually going to bust it open. I'm going to say, which website was that on again? Right. So we can start shooting all over ourselves. Right. Because we really should be doing that stuff, but that's not going to work. So what has to happen from your perspective? How do you create the pain? How do you make it so it's not okay to not do well today?
It's challenging because every single person's situation is different. And for some of you watching, there truly is pain. Like, you have to do it because you're the breadwinner in your particular situation and you need the income and you have to go do it. And you're actually in a better situation sometimes than someone who doesn't have to go do it, right? Because they're probably not going to, and you will. So that's the difference there. For me, the alternative to that is finding something that you're really passionate about, right? Like, I think about this a lot, but I'm in a really fortunate spot myself because I get to work with someone that Craig and Jeff and the team, I consider literally Jeff to be one of my best friends beyond just work, right? And for me, being able to do that and work with someone like him means everything, because if I were to hit the lottery tomorrow and didn't have to ever work ever again, kids would be set, all of that set aside, I would still show up to work the next day, because to me, this isn't work, right? I love the process. I love what we're building. I love trying to bring more value to you guys. Like, I am super passionate about what I'm doing. So it is not, for me, the drive isn't coming from, oh, I've got to go chase this so I can do this and buy. That's not it. I just love the process of what we're doing and building, and everything else is irrelevant. And I love that feeling that I get from doing this stuff, right? So for me, you either have to love and fall in love with the process and the feeling that working hard gets you, making those if you fall in love with prospecting, with that feeling you get after you made those 10 calls or 20 calls or 15 texts or 17 posts, whatever your method of going and getting business, if you fall in love with the feeling you get after completing that, whether you even got interest or not, that's when everything will shift, because now you're going to wake up tomorrow and want to do the same thing, right? And keep going, keep going. And for those of you that are already pretty successful and you're just trying to hit your next level, that's how you're going to get there. You've got to of what you're getting from it. And if you don't fall in love with that, it's going to be a struggle, and you're going to do things in the short term, but you are not going to do them in the long term. And it's hard, but that, to me, that's it, right? And so for some of you, it is going to be pain. For some of you, it is going to be, oh my God, like, I don't know how I'm going to eat next month. And those of you, you've got to get to work, right? And if you're not in that situation, which is a lot of you, probably the majority, where, yeah, you're still going to eat, then it's about digging deeper, right? What is going to inspire you to wake up tomorrow and want to do it. And for me, that only way that happens is if you get truly passionate and fall in love with the feeling that you're getting from putting in that effort and that work.
And I think that's hugely important. That's important, right? So there's two components to this. There's pain and then there's pleasure. What Puma's talking about is the pleasure, right? The pleasure of the feeling of the journey and the creation, right? That's the pleasure of, go back to the smoking example, being alive, right? But you had to have that first kick in the ass reality moment of pain, and you gotta blend them. Let's take that for an example. Here's the truth: none of us are gonna starve. If you guys got in a terrible position and couldn't afford food, I got food for you. Get your ass over to my house, right? And same with all of us. Our whole tribe takes care of each other. Anybody got in deep trouble, no one's sleeping under a bridge and no one's going to starve to death, right? So let's just take that out of the equation. You know that's true, right? So that pain is BS pain. Now, what the real pain is you having to make that phone call to somebody is the pain, right? Because you know it's your fault if you ever got to that point, right? So if you extrapolate you doing what you did last week and said, okay, last week, yeah, I had every excuse. School was starting and my knee hurt and there was lightning and there was a funnel cloud I saw on social media. It was a busy week. This is the week I'm going to actually do it. I know I should. I'm going to make it happen. You're not going to, right? And then, but if you don't, what happens? Okay. If you didn't last week, then 5 weeks from now, you don't have a check. If you don't this week, 5 weeks from now, you don't have a check. If you don't next week, 5 weeks from now, you don't have a check. If you don't the week after that, 5 weeks from now, you don't have a check, right? And then if that continues for long enough, what happens, right? At some point, you're going to say, I got to go do something else, or your loved one's going to say that to you, or something's going to happen. And then what happens? Then you're going to have delinquencies, right? Then you're going to have people owing money. Everything it starts to snowball a little bit out of control, and then you get into debt, and your credit cards get up, and your credit rating gets hit, and now you can't really buy stuff, and you start to get in a different level of brackets and credit worthiness, and just things just start to get a little more difficult for you. It's harder to buy a house, harder to buy a car, right? Money starts to get a little tighter, and then it gets tougher, and then you start to get used to it, and then it goes a little further, you get used to that, a little further, you get used to that, and then, I mean, how far is it until you're sticking needles in your toes under a bridge, right? I mean, sorry to go that way, but I mean, it's a progression.
That escalated quickly.
But pain, right? How is that going to feel if you allow that to continue to happen? You've got to create that reality for yourself that things aren't going to go well if I continue this behavior, right? And it starts with uneasiness.
So let's have a little bit of a reset for a minute, because I try and do this every once in a while, and I have this conversation a lot with new agents, especially that I'm interviewing. And a lot of times the question is, hey, I've got a full-time job. I'm thinking about doing real estate part-time. And we have I give them the same example all the time. When you get into real estate, you are starting a business. So let's take real estate out of it for a second. If you were to say, hey, you know what? I've always wanted to open a cookie shop, and you want to go open that cookie shop. If your cookie shop is only open from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., you have a far shorter window to sell cookies, and you are probably going to do much smaller business, and it's going to be a lot harder than if you were open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. right? So at the end of the day, you have to understand that if you're not in that cookie shop working and selling cookies, then there are no cookies being sold. When we get into real estate, when all of you made the decision to get into real estate, why did you make that decision? You just decided to start a business in an industry, right? But you could have started a business in any industry, literally anything. You could have opened any business you wanted, but you chose real estate, and you chose real estate for a reason, right? But at the end of the day, again, remove the industry out of it, remove real estate out of it. You started a business, and I don't care what business you're starting. When you start a business, and you are the sole proprietor of that business, it is on you. Everything is on you. The success, the failure of that, it is on you, which is why it takes typically a different type of human being to be a successful entrepreneur, which all of you decided to try and be. So it's time to have a real conversation. Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Because we call you guys realtors. We call you guys real estate agents. You are an entrepreneur. If you got into this business and you are running a real estate business as an agent, you are an entrepreneur. Now the question is, should you be? Or should you be going to work a 9 to 5, right? That's a real conversation. And if you're not willing to put in the work, if you're not willing to go grow something, if you're not willing to put in all the max amount of effort you can to grow your business as large as you can, I would argue that you don't belong owning your own business. You don't. Because when you're a true entrepreneur, it is never really about the money. The success, you have to believe that the success will come if you are willing to commit everything you have to grow that as big as you can. But again, most entrepreneurs that have been successful fell in love with the process. It's the reason that you see the most famous entrepreneurs still running their businesses years and years later after becoming multimillionaires and billionaires, right? And there's millions of examples of that. Warren Buffett's probably the most prolific investor of all time, still doing it. Guy is old as hell, he's still doing it every day, right? Why? Because it was never about becoming a billionaire. It was about building a business. You guys are running a business. And I think we forget this, right? Like we look at this as a job. This is not a job, right? I hate when I hear that term. Oh, it's a job. You got to treat it like, no, it's not. It's a business that you own. You are a business owner, a small business owner. That's what it is. So it's not a job. If it was a job, you'd be getting paid hourly or a salary to go do it. That's not the case. So let's treat it like a business. You own the business. It will succeed or fail based on your efforts. Simple as that. Now, you happen to be in an industry where it operates, where you get to pick a business partner who's there to provide a partnership with you and go into business with you. And for all of you on this call, you made a really smart decision on who your business partner was, because you picked a business partner that's got a massive amount of experience, massive amount of tools, a great leadership team to help you. Because if all of you went out and started a cookie shop and you said, you know what, I need an accountant, I need a CFO. I also need someone to help with operation. I need someone to run the IT. I need someone to help with marketing. That's a lot of salaries. Where's that money coming from? Right? If I start that business and I got to hire all those people, I have a ton of expenses. In this industry, we say, oh, no, don't worry about that. We'll do all that for you. We're your business partner. We'll give you a marketing guy. We'll give you all the systems. We'll give you all the tools. We'll give you all the training. We'll give you the coaching. We'll give you the support. We'll handle all that. We'll handle the back end. We'll do all of your administrative stuff. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of that. That's our job as your business partner. Yep. That's a heck of an industry, isn't it? So we'll do that. So now let's think about that for a second. You own a cookie shop, but all the other stuff on all you have to do now is bake and sell the cookies. That's it. We'll do all the rest. You have a business partner doing all the rest. If that's the only thing you have to do, and you're not willing to wake up every day and bake and sell cookies, you do not belong in the business.
And from a branding perspective, it's like if you open your cookie shop, you have an option. It could be Mike's Cookies, or it could be Nestle's Toll House, right? If those two stores are next door to each other, one's going to do better than the other, right? Because of the name and because of the consistency and because of the knowledge. Now, Mike's Cookies might be really great too, but I promise you, Nestle's Toll House will out-volume them light years ahead of the time. And doing the marketing, doing the branding, mixing the cookies, sending them to you with the instructions of exactly how to bake them, and when to pull them out, and how to market and sell them. Right. So that's a great analogy from the entrepreneur side of the world, and that's exactly where we are. And what's the pain of being an entrepreneur? What's the opposite of being an entrepreneur? I think that's the real pain.
Yeah.
It's being an employee, right? And it's a, I shouldn't say it that way because it's good for some too, correct? It depends on really
Yeah.
what your life situation is, what your available hours are, and what your goals truly are, on that one. So, and it's not easy to do this, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. But
It's tough.
that's where that self-awareness comes in, Jeff. You have to be self-aware. Like I don't want to ever look at you going to work for and taking a job as being a necessarily a negative thing.
No,
I truly believe that some people should. There should be some people that, because they're really good at it, right? And you might be really successful and have a really nice career and live the lifestyle you want to live by having that security of doing that, right? And
Yep.
being and going into work, and because there's a lot of people that just like to go to work, and then when they leave that job at 5 or 5:30, they can forget about it.
Yep.
Right? That's for them mentally, for their family. That's a great life, right?
Yep.
Great. I don't want to demonize that, but that's not the life you guys chose. So again, let's take accountability for the decisions we make. If you are sitting on this call, you have made the decision that that's not the life you want. The life you want is the life where you're in control. You get to decide what to do. You get to grow your business as much as you can. And those freedoms come with a cost. And that cost is effort and work. And if you aren't willing to do those things, then you need to go get a job.
Or be a supportive person to another person in the agency that might be a buyer's agent, right? Be an admin, be a support role. And that's great too, because there's a lot of people that need help, right? So to your point, not demonizing any of this, when the self-awareness is the key, right? Are you the person that's going to go grow a business? Period. Question number one. To what business do you want? What level do you want to go to? Now, maybe, and that goes back to primary aim and the pleasure, right? Some of you are here to make 30 grand a year. That's fantastic. Some of you are here to make $3 million a year. That's fantastic. Some of you are here to make 300 grand a year. That's fantastic. And it's irrelevant, right? Because every one of us has different reasons, different drives, different whys, and truly different abilities, right? To be able to do that because you've sharpened skills. Now, my question to you is, if you're in the $300 to $3 million range, what are you doing to sharpen your skills and your mindset and your abilities to communicate and close and connect? How much time are you spending to get to the level that takes to grow your entrepreneurial business to that extreme level? What seminars have you been to? What books are you reading? What YouTube channels are you watching? What Audible books are you listening to? What are you reading to get your mindset to that level of getting above the clutter, right? It's hard work to get above the crap, guys. 99% of the population is in the mud of crap. They just are. It's let me find reasons to explain why life is shitty, right? That's where most people spend their life, right? This guy's doing this, annoying me because of this, and why are they doing this? And they shouldn't do this. Why don't they do this? Those people have a miserable freaking life, guys. Terrible, disgusting, right? But it's okay for them, not for people like us, right? Because I don't even hear people like that. I'm beyond my mind has grown because I worked damn hard and read a lot and invested a lot and studied a lot and figured out who I want to hang around to get out of the mud, right? Because it's really easy to get sucked back in or be around it, right? That's true point of entrepreneurship, is surround yourself with people like all of us, guys. We have an amazing group, several hundred really cool people with a hell of a great mindset, because we have that one voice, one collective connection that keeps us thinking a little bit better and a little bit higher out of the mud, right? That's an important aspect of this, guys. There's so many people trying to bring people down. Ignore them, right? Lauren, you typed in earlier, put blinders on. And that's important, but blinders only to what you want as your goal, right? Doesn't matter what Barbara's doing or Joe's doing or Susie's doing. That's Susie's blinder battle. That's her goal, not yours. It's irrelevant. Yours is one deal a month. Celebrate the hell out of that one deal. If it's one deal a quarter, do freaking backflips because that 10 grand just paid off your debt. That's fantastic, right? But that's your entrepreneurial goal and your vision and your blinders. and then you figure out what's the path that's going to get you there, right? It's the pain of not doing it has got to eat at you, right? It's got to be, if a true entrepreneur, right, you're going to have that lurking feeling in the back of your head and in the pit of your stomach that if you don't, right, it's going to be so painful and embarrassing and annoying, right, and just sucks, right, if you don't, to the point where you can't let don't happen. Like, you'll go do anything. You're not going to leave at 5 o'clock if you didn't get a deal by Friday. You're going to stay working and sending messages and texting and researching and stuff until you fall asleep on your keyboard at midnight, right? That's the difference when it's strong, when it's, I mean, that's just it. And how many times 5 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night, Puma, we go back and forth texting and email and stuff, right? Not every day, but a lot of them, because it's a consumption of the journey of fun. Like, come up with cool stuff, right? Craig, same thing. All of the leadership thing. We spend so much of our time. How can we help you guys grow? What can we do to help you get to your next level? But guess what? If we don't have a next level in our mind, what's the reason for us to get you up to a next level? We had $1 billion in sales this year. That's awesome. Yeah, but what is 5 going to feel like? And how do we get there? Well, we got to help you get from here to here, and we got to get a bunch more people to take from here to here. That's our personal blinders to grow the business, right? That's what we're doing. That's what's our journey, is to do that. How many people can we reach and we impact and we empower, educate, and encourage, because it feels damn good to watch you guys get investment properties and to put your kids in the best schools and to have 40 houses that are spinning off cash flow for you, and to take the first class trips with the private guided guy on the other end to take you on the best trips on the planet, right? You deserve those experiences in life, right? And it's our job to help you realize that that's true, right? And maybe it's not to that extreme. Maybe it's just now to cut up a freaking credit card, or to get rid of that student debt, or to make sure your grandkids are going to a school that they want to go to help out, right? Like, what's the pleasure and what's the pain if you don't, right? Pleasure, pain. There is not one or the other. It is absolutely a mixing bowl of both. And some of us require more pain. Some of us require more pleasure. Some of us have learned to endure a ton of pain and make it okay. And I'm here to say that's not okay. It's not okay. Why do we want to do that, right? And you should do better. When you're shitting on yourself, it's over, right? We have to go to the must, right? The shoulds have to become the must. Right? You must have something. You must do this, like, because it feels good. You must quit that cigarette. You must put it out. There's not an option. There's not an option. Where is your no option lifestyle? What is your no option next level? What is the drive? You're already up. You're listening to this. You're above 95% of the people in the industry already, right? You've got more tools at the push of your button internally inside this company on how to score business today than anybody else in this industry. We know every other company, guys. It's our job to know what our competition's doing. Nobody's doing what we're doing. And we're going to scale that because we know it's cool, right? That's our blinders. But what are we going to do to help you grab onto them, fire something up to get you to the next level? And it's, we've got to identify the pain points, and we've got to bring into focus the clarity of the pleasure, right? That's the thing that we need to really leverage, right? That's the leverage we need to put on ourselves. So all the managers that are watching, right, our job collectively, maybe we talk about this a little bit today on our call, how do we make sure that it's clear pain and pleasure? Because when we can make sure that you're clear on pain and pleasure, game over. Game's over. That's it. That's it. I don't know about you.
It's literally what we wake up every day trying to do. So
That's it.
Everyone just has to get very clear. And I think if you can treat it like that and say, you know what, all right, I'm running a business. Is my business going to be bankrupt, or am I going to grow this thing, right? And give yourself some a time period and put the pressure on yourself, put that pain in perspective, figure out what the pleasure is, and map that out. And we're here to help you do that, right? That's part of the business planning. It's part of the coaching. It's part of the empowerment. There's no lack of talent on our leadership team to help you do that. So use us, leverage us as your business partner. But it's time to set goals for you, your business, and the plane and the pleasure that you want. And when you can identify those things and map that out and hold true accountability to yourself and to those goals and to that business plan, you will be successful. And if not, then you won't. And that's okay too. But it's time to figure that out for yourself.
And last thought on this too is nobody does it alone, guys. Nobody. No. Nobody. And if you think you can, stop it. Right? You shouldn't. Nobody does.
No.
So reach out and say, help me identify my pain. Help me identify your pleasure. Right? Help me. Push me. Kick my ass. Right? Help me. That's, guys, we're your business partners. And when you're ready to go to the next level, you have to tell us. Right? We will hold you accountable and kick your ass. Right? And celebrate you. And both. It takes both. You're going to get both because you need to get both, because that's what a good friend and partner will do for you. Right? So it's time, guys. This is it. This is a day. And this is it. This is the decision time for you. This market is going to get challenging, guys. It's already challenging, right? It's more challenging than most of you, right? We're going to have some problems in the industry, and we're going to have to get damn sharp at work and doing what we do. And you know what's going to happen as a result? We're going to leapfrog light years ahead of everybody else in the industry. Because when everybody else is starting to look around about, oh my God, what do I do? Scarcity. That's it. We're just abundantly thinking, guys, as a collective group. And we're going to make sure that we get I don't care what the market's doing. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. We're going to excel in whatever market we're in. Right. And that's a mindset and a belief.
What this current market is doing is creating opportunity. Mm-hmm. Right. This market is challenging, but it's challenging you in a way that says, hey, you're either going to succumb to it and give up, or you're going to realize the opportunity here and you're going to take advantage. And so there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of businesses and people that make a lot of money, and there's going to be a lot of people and businesses that fail. Right. And this is the type of market that separates the two. Because if you look in history, and I made a post about this the other day, some of the biggest businesses in the world were started and built during recessions. They were built during tough markets. Why? Because they saw the opportunity. There was less competition. It made their ability to get more market share possible for cheaper. And they were able to scale faster than they ever could in a really strong market where their big competitors were also succeeding at a high level. So all their big competitors, when all your competitors start to shrink and get scared and stop doing the things that they need to do, and you're willing to do those things, guess what happens? You start taking and eating market share. And that is the case across every industry, across every business. So we're all entrepreneurs. We all own businesses. Now it is time to realize that our businesses have the opportunity over the next 12 to 24 months, when everyone else is freaking out, everyone else is trying to figure out, how do I cut costs? We have to figure out, how do we make more money? How do we grow sales? How do we strategize to grow bigger? Not figure out, how do we not die, right? How do we not shrink? No, the focus is on, how do we grow, right? Yep. Where are they pulling back? Because where they're pulling back is our opportunity to go. So they start marketing less, we start marketing more. Yep. They start doing less, we start doing more, right? That's the opportunity. And I promise you, if you poise yourself to do that, all of our businesses, because your business directly impacts ours, they will grow and they will scale like never before. I actually love these types of markets because I think it's the biggest opportunity for growth.
And Lauren just typed in, this is the time to be the voice of reason and calm your clients, right? Now, headline, I just scrolled through my feed in the morning, right? And it's all crap, right? So from the news channel sources. I watch a couple of them. I like to see opposing views too, just so I know what the general public is eating, right? And what their mind is eating. And just, it's important to know that. So this is the 5th month in a row of declining economic indicators, which is now a recession. Like, it's really 2, but now they're trying to concede finally 5. So 5 months of decline. Mortgage companies shuttering their doors, companies cutting backs, closing locations, layoffs happening all across the board. These are the headlines people are being fed right now, right? This is what they're being fed. So when you're thinking, when the general public is watching and eating and consuming crap, guys, I hope you're not consuming that stuff. I hope you don't eat it, right? Stop it, throw it up if you have been, and just turn it off, because all of it is designed to create fear and doubt, and it's working on the masses, right? That's when people contract and react, right? And that's why there'll be probably a 25% reduction in the agent workforce, which is an amazing opportunity for all of us to capture market share, like we're just talking about. But you've got to know that that's out there. Our job is to understand there is no market, there's a micro market. And it may be a good time or it may not be a time. Let's look at the market, let's see where you are positioned, and let's see how much cash that means for you as a seller, and you determine whether or not it's a good time or not. That's it. And then think from a buying perspective. Let's talk to my lender. Let's see what the rates are. Let's see what the prices are. Let's see if it puts a big ass smile on your face. If it does, let's go move. We can refi later. Let's make it happen. That's it. That's the simple conversation. We just need to have that conversation with more people than we had before in order to maintain the level that you had before. So this is the wake up call, right? To fire it up, to insert some pain, to start picturing the pleasure, because the pleasure is going to come at a rate faster than you've ever seen before for those of us who are working, right? We're going to just gobble up market share. It's going to happen because everybody else is relaxing and chilling, not relaxing, retreating and contracting. They're just not thinking about growth. And that's all we think about. And that's all you're going to think about, because that's what we're going to do to cut together collectively. So I couldn't be more fired up, but I thought today was relevant to make sure that we teach ourselves to create the pain of not doing more, right? Because that's the ultimate pain of that. And then wiggle in the pleasure of what happens as a result of you doing more, right? And both of them are important. So let's find that right mix for you, and let's inflict the pain, and let's start to embrace the pleasure, and let's keep ourselves going every day, right? That's the message I wanted to get across today on that. And we care more about you than probably you do, right? Until you do, right? So leverage us, because that's what we're here for. And we leverage C21, they leverage, we leverage each other. It's a team, guys, right? So when somebody's down, we're going to pull you up, right? That's what we do. So that's the message from today. Hope you guys got something out of it, and maybe it fires a little spark up, and then reach out if you need any next levels on top of that. But that's it. That's my closing remarks. Hope everybody has a phenomenal week. And to me personally, it's going to be the best week I've ever had in my life.
Absolutely. Mine too.
And we get to decide that. So the decision's yours. What kind of week are you going to have? That's it. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and crush it.
See everyone.